So our first performance was March 25th, 2004. It was for the Mary Griffiths Night, which is a fundraiser that the Folklore Society does every year. And at that point, no one had really been dancing that long other than me. Everybody had started in like September, so this was only March, so they were all pretty new to it. And I was very new to being in charge of my own troupe as well. So mistakes were made, but it went really well. The first performance was really great, but there was kind of a couple of strange things that happened. That year was the only year that they actually had it at Bridie Malloy's. Every other year it's been at O'Reilly's. That year was Bridie Malloy's, which for a dance performance is not a great space. We were right on the dance floor, and if you've ever been there, you know that there's like the bar is like right against the side of the dance floor, so it's like dance floor bar. And then people are on either side of you, but nobody's really in front of you, so it was really hard to see. And then they were like through the bar, there's kind of the other part of the bar, so people were like kind of like ducking down and trying to see through the other side of the bar. But it was really bad because I hadn't really thought about that, and the dances were sort of front oriented, and so probably about 10 people saw them really well. Everybody else pretty much got alienated every time we turned to either side, so that was kind of interesting. That was a learning experience. So it went pretty well. Of course, the way I am, I couldn't just have us do one number. No, we had a whole set for the first time through. So we had like 15 minutes already prepared, and we went through some dances that we still do today. We did the blessing dance, we did Aisa and Shimmy, and then I did a solo. And it was about the time of the solo, like everything had gone really well. We were nervous, I'm sure we made a couple of mistakes. Like it wasn't anything tragic happening. But about the time I was doing the solo, I realized that there was something like all over the dance floor. And I couldn't really tell because it was dark, I didn't know what it was. But I was like, and I was trying to dance away from it, right, the entire time so I didn't slip on whatever it was and fall. But it was like, it was everywhere, and I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. So I'm doing my dance, and I had this big veil on, so like every time I turned to the side, I alienated half the bar. But like, stuff you don't know about when you first start a troupe. So anyway, I'm up there dancing, trying to avoid beer, whatever it is that's on the floor. And the whole thing goes well, and right, and everybody's applauding, everything. We get off stage, and just pumped full of adrenaline. And we're sitting down, and like I noticed that people finally go up and they start mopping the floor, and I was like, well, that's really great. That would have been like way more helpful, like 20 minutes ago. But okay, whatever. And I'm sitting there and I'm talking, and people are coming up and telling us how great it was, and like we're all like really pumped. And it went really well, and we're all happy about it. And it was about right then that I realized that my ankle was like absolutely killing me, and I had no idea why. So I just kind of like pulled my leg up, and I'm looking at my ankle. And I had this ankle bracelet on, and it was like a fairly cheap one that was like a bunch of coins on it. And it apparently was not assembled well, and the whole thing, like all the little links weren't really closed, so they were all sharp and pointy, and I guess it was the adrenaline and everything, I just didn't realize that the thing had cut me like hundreds of times, and I had bled everywhere. Like there was blood everywhere. Like the whole little anklet thing was like caked in blood. And that's kind of when I realized at that point that I was dancing away from my own blood all over the stage, so that was kind of shocking. So I took off the thing. I think I threw it away immediately because I was like, I'm never obviously going to wear this again. And it wasn't very bad cuts or anything. It was just one of those like places where you just bleed a lot apparently when you get cut there. So I went in the bathroom and like cleaned it all up and came back out, and I always think of like that's like my strongest memory from that night. Not everybody telling us we did a great job and that everything went really well, and I remember feeling really proud and everything for everybody, but I remember sitting there thinking like our first performance, and I bleed everywhere, like all over the dance floor, to the point where the bar actually had to clean it up. And like when I sit back and I think about that, I just can't help but to laugh, because people always ask me, like, well, why are the Neighbourhood Strays so successful? How have you managed to do this for 5 years? Like, how do you keep all this up? And I think, like, yeah, it's hard work and it's dedication. It's because I have a great group of girls that'll do, whatever it takes to get everything done. But there's a little part of me that's like, blood sacrifice, right? Like, I bled all over that floor on our first performance. So, you know, maybe that's it. Maybe that's why, you know, we've been so successful as a troupe, and why our classes go so well, and why we've, you know, been able to afford our own space and everything. It's the hard work and the dedication, of course, but apparently you gotta bleed on the floor a lot too to appease the dance gods or whatever. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping I don't have to do that again for the next 5 years to be this good. I will, like, I'll totally do it if I have to, but I'm kind of hoping, you know, that maybe that was enough for maybe 10 years. That'd be really great.